Hey y'all, today we are going to talk about the Pythagorean theorem converse. So we're on pages 5 and 6 in our notes. Okay. So what is a converse? So a converse is just a statement in which you just switch like the if and then statement, and it should hopefully make a true statement still. So we're going to kind of test this out. Okay, so if you have a triangle, if a triangle has three equal sides, then it is considered equilateral. So our two statements is a triangle that has three equal sides, okay, then it should be considered equilateral. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch those and kind of see if it still makes a true statement. So if a triangle is equilateral, then it has three equal sides. Okay? That's absolutely correct. If you have an equilateral triangle, that literally means the definition is they have three equal sides. Okay? So the next one, if a number is even, then it is divisible by 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch this statement up. Okay? So if a number, we're going to switch, is divisible by 2, then it is even, which is the definition of what even means. Okay? So we can kind of use this logic to help us with our Pythagorean theorem problems, because right now we know that if a triangle is a right triangle, then we can use this Pythagorean theorem. We can square the legs, add them together, and it always should equal the hypotenuse squared. Okay? But so what we can do is we can use the reverse logic of this. Okay? So what we're going to switch is these two statements. Okay? So if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then it is a right triangle. Okay, so this is really going to help us when we're trying to see, is something a right triangle or is it not a right triangle? Because the last thing, I always had right triangles given to us, so we could just use the theorem and figure out the side. But we can also use the reverse logic to help us see, are triangles right triangles or are they just other triangles? Okay, so we have this triangle. We have no idea if it's a right triangle or not. Okay, I can just understand that this is my longest side, so this hopefully should be my hypotenuse if it is a right triangle. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to square all these because that's what we did with Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so 13 squared would be 169. Okay, 84 squared is 7,056, and then 85 squared is 7,225. And what the definition of Pythagorean theorem is, if we add these legs together after we square them, it should equal my hypotenuse squared. So we're going to test that. Does 7,556 plus 169 equal 7,225? Yes, it does. So yes, it is a right triangle. Okay, so now we'll do number 2. Okay, we have 15, 12, and 21, so this should be my hypotenuse if I use it, this is correct. So we're going to square 15, so 15 squared, which is 225. Okay, we're going to square 12, which is 144. Okay, and just using our logic, if we add those together, it should equal 21 squared. 21 squared is 441. Okay, when I add these two together, I get 369. So 369 is not the same as my hypotenuse squared. So this is not a right triangle. Okay. Now you guys are going to go ahead and try these two. Okay. So if I'm right, this should be my my square. So I'm going to do 30 squared, which is 900, plus 15 squared, which is 225. If I add those together, I get 1,125, and that should be my hypotenuse squared, but it is not 45 squared, because 45 squared is 225. So nope, this is not a right triangle. Okay. For this final one, this is my longest side, so this should be my hypotenuse. Okay, I'm going to do 18 squared, 324, plus my other leg squared, which is 24, so 576. If I add those together, I get 900. And if this is a right triangle, it should equal my hypotenuse squared, and 30 squared is 900. So yes, it is a right triangle. All right, on to page 6. Okay, we're just going to determine if the following side lengths are right triangles or not. So I first just like to determine which one would be the hypotenuse, because that kind of makes my problem setup easier. Okay, so this is my longest side, this is my longest side, and longest side. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do my work over here. I'm going to do 12 squared plus 24 squared. Does that equal 36 squared? Okay, so 12 squared plus 24 squared, I get 720. 36 squared is not that. That is 1,926. So it is not a right triangle. Okay. For this next one, I'm going to test 11 squared plus 9 squared, trying to see, does that equal 16 squared? So 9 squared plus 11 squared is 202. And 16 squared is 256. So it looks like that is also not a right triangle. Okay. All right, next I'm going to do my two small sides, so 20 and 21 squared, trying to see if that's equal to my longest side. So 20 squared plus 21 squared is 841. Testing 29 squared, which is also 841. So yes, this is a right triangle. Go ahead and try this last one for me. Okay, so we're testing, does 7.5 squared plus 10 squared equal 12.5 squared? So 7.5 squared plus 10 squared is 156.25. 12.5 squared is also 156.25. So yes, this is a right triangle. All right, so now we're just going to do some word problems, okay? Jimmy thinks a window frame in his house looks slanted because the corner doesn't appear to be a 90-degree angle. Okay? His wife thinks it looks just fine. They measured the window to check and found that the width to be 25 inches, the height to be 36 inches, and the diagonal distance to be 45 inches. Okay, so I'm going to kind of draw this picture. Okay, the width is 25 inches. The height is 36 inches. And the diagonal distance is 45 inches. Okay. Okay. So I kind of see a right angle, and they're trying to test, is it a right angle? Is it a 90-degree angle? So we can use Pythagorean theorem to check this out. So we're going to do 25 squared. We're going to add the other leg to it, and we're checking to see if it equals 45 squared. So 25 squared plus 36 squared is 1,921, and we're testing to see if that is 45 squared, and 45 squared is 2,025. So it is not a right angle, which means that Jimmy is correct. All right, Patty wants a triangular garden in her backyard for all of her vegetables. She's going to use 3 pieces of wood that measure 7 feet, 10 feet, and 8 feet. Will her garden be in the shape of a right triangle? Why or why not? Okay, so we're just going to test just to see if this would be the hypotenuse. So we're going to do 7 squared plus 8 squared equaling 10 squared. 7 squared plus 8 squared, which is 113, and that does not equal 10 squared, which is 100. Okay, so this would not be a right triangle. Okay, the perimeters of 3 squares are shown below. Could the 3 squares be positioned so that they form a right triangle? We have to remember that this word right here, perimeter, is the outside, all 4 added together. So what we need to do is we need to find the side of one of them. So we actually need to divide all of these by 4, because this is all 4 sides added together. So for this one side is 12 feet. Okay, 140 divided by 4 is 35, so this one is 35 feet. And then 148 divided by 4 would be 37 feet. So that is how long each side length is. It has a perimeter of 148, but each side adds up is 37. So now we're going to test to see if this would be a right triangle. So we're going to do 12 squared plus 35 squared. Does that equal 37 squared? So 12 squared plus 35 squared is 1,369. And we're trying to see if that's 137 squared, which it absolutely is. And our work seems to be showing us everything it needs to know. So your practice today is page 7.